Winning Defensive Player of the Year should answer one question: who was the best defender in basketball that season? But defense is difficult to measure because blocks do not include the shots that were never attempted, steals do not reveal failed gambles, and team defensive ratings can reward an entire system instead of one player. So today, we are revisiting every DPOY winner since 2010 and deciding who is actually the best defender based on rim protection, versatility, matchup difficulty, availability, team impact, and how much responsibility each player carried. Some choices are obvious, while a few are so close they could honestly go either way. Dwight Howard, 2010. Dwight Howard officially won the 2010 Defensive Player of the Year award, and he was clearly the actual best defender as well. Howard led the NBA with 13.2 rebounds and 2.8 blocks per game, while turning Orlando's paint into the most dangerous place on the court. Josh Smith could defend more positions, and Rajon Rondo produced more steals, but neither player controlled an opponent's entire shot selection like Dwight. Guards regularly abandoned drives after seeing him waiting near the basket, while Orlando's perimeter defenders could pressure shooters knowing Superman was behind them. Dwight did not simply block shots, he prevented them from being attempted, cleaned up his teammates' mistakes, and gave Orlando its entire defensive identity. He also controlled the defensive glass, ended possessions before second chances could develop, and made every player around him look more aggressive and confident. This was one of the easiest decisions of the video because both the voters and the defensive impact pointed toward Howard. Dwight Howard, 2011. Howard repeated in 2011 and became the first player ever to win 3 consecutive Defensive Player of the Year awards, although Kevin Garnett made the comparison much more interesting. Garnett remained a defensive genius who recognized offensive actions early, communicated every rotation, and organized Boston's entire system. But Dwight carried a greater individual burden in Orlando. He averaged 14.1 rebounds and 2.38 blocks while helping the Magic allow only 93.5 points per game despite not having Boston's collection of experienced defenders around him. Garnett often prevented possessions from breaking down, while Howard repeatedly had to rescue Orlando after the defense was already beaten. Dwight also played with tremendous durability, absorbed constant contact from opposing centers, and still remained the most intimidating rim protector in basketball every night. Garnett made Boston more intelligent, but Dwight gave Orlando its complete defensive foundation, making Howard the actual best defender for the second straight season. Tyson Chandler, 2012. Tyson Chandler officially won the 2012 award after completely transforming New York's defense, but my actual choice is Kevin Garnett. Chandler protected the basket without recklessly chasing blocks, communicated pick-and-roll coverages, and gave the Knicks a defensive identity they had desperately needed. However, Boston still finished first in defensive rating at 98.2 compared with New York's 5th-ranked 101.0, and Garnett remained the central reason the Celtics could defend at that level. He could contain pick-and-rolls, rotate toward the rim, recover to shooters, and direct his teammates before the offense completed its action. Garnett also defended farther away from the basket, switched more comfortably, and understood exactly when to help without leaving another player exposed. Chandler's impact on New York was undeniable, so this is one of those races that could reasonably go either way, but Garnett controlled more areas of the floor and anchored the league's best-rated defense. Marc Gasol, 2013. The 2013 result remains controversial because Marc Gasol won DPOY, while LeBron James made the all-defensive first team ahead of him, but Gasol was still my actual best defender. LeBron was at his athletic peak and could switch onto point guards, battle power forwards, erase transition opportunities, and realistically defend every position. Gasol was not nearly as explosive, but his positioning, communication, and decision-making controlled almost every possession for Memphis. He averaged 1.7 blocks and 1 steal while anchoring a defense that allowed a league-low 88.7 points per game. Gasol constantly directed Tony Allen and the rest of Memphis defenders, closed passing lanes before they opened, and forced opponents into difficult mid-range attempts instead of clean finishes at the rim. LeBron was the better isolation defender and the more versatile emergency option, but Gasol prevented many emergencies from developing in the first place. This was incredibly close and could go either way depending on what you value, but Marc's system-wide influence gives him the narrow edge. Joakim Noah, 2014. Joakim Noah officially won in 2014, and there is no reason to change the result because he produced one of the decade's most complete defensive seasons. Roy Hibbert provided elite vertical rim protection for Indiana, but most of his value remained concentrated near the basket. Noah could protect the rim, hedge against guards, recover toward rolling centers, switch during emergencies, rebound, generate turnovers, and communicate every rotation behind the play. He averaged 11.3 rebounds, 1.51 blocks, and 1.24 steals while appearing in 80 games, helping Chicago surrender a league-low 91.8 points per night. Noah's effort never disappeared. He sprinted back in transition, fought through contact, and constantly kept Chicago organized even when the offense struggled to score. Hibbert defended one extremely important area of the floor, but Noah solved almost every defensive problem that a possession could create. The voters got this one completely right because Noah was both Chicago's defensive leader and the most complete defender in basketball. Kawhi Leonard, 2015. Kawhi Leonard officially won the 2015 award, but the actual best defender was Draymond Green, and even the voting showed how unusual the result was. Kawhi finished with more total voting points, but Draymond received 45 first-place votes compared with Kawhi's 37. Leonard was already the league's most frightening perimeter stopper, using his strength, reach, and enormous hands to remove elite scorers from games. Draymond, however, influenced a larger variety of possessions because he could switch on a point guards, battle centers, protect the rim as an undersized big, and organize Golden State's entire defensive system. He also played 79 games compared with Kawhi's 64, giving Golden State far more total defensive value across the season. Kawhi was the superior one-on-one specialist, but Draymond was the more valuable all-purpose defensive engine. This was still close, but Green's versatility, availability, and system-wide responsibility make him my actual 2015 DPOY. Kawhi Leonard, 2016. Kawhi defeated Draymond again in 2016, but this time Leonard did enough to remain the actual best defender. San Antonio finished first in defensive rating at 96.6 points allowed per 100 possessions, and that number improved to an incredible 94.9 with Kawhi playing compared with 99.2 when he sat. Draymond produced an even larger on and off difference for Golden State and remained a more versatile defender. But Kawhi combined elite help defense with the ability to erase the opponent's best scorer every night. Teams often avoided his side of the court entirely, meaning some of his greatest value never appeared through steals or blocks. Leonard also became more disciplined away from the ball, choosing the right moments to gamble and using his length to shrink passing windows without leaving San Antonio's structure exposed. This is another season that could go either way, especially if versatility is valued above isolation defense, but Kawhi's shutdown assignments and San Antonio's league-leading results give Leonard the narrow victory. Draymond Green, 2017. Draymond finally collected the award in 2017, and this was unquestionably the strongest defensive season of his career. Green led the league with 2.03 steals per game and became the first player in Warriors history to record at least 150 steals and 100 blocks in the same season, which is absurd for someone who regularly defended centers despite being undersized. Rudy Gobert was the better traditional rim protector, and Kawhi remained the stronger isolation stopper, but neither player could perform as many different defensive jobs during the same possession. Draymond switched onto guards, trapped ball handlers, rotated from the weak side, protected the basket, and defended much larger post players. His communication also allowed Golden State to change coverages instantly without calling a timeout or substituting another player. Gobert controlled the paint and Kawhi controlled individual matchups, but Draymond controlled complete game plans, making him both the official winner and the actual best defender. Rudy Gobert, 2018. Rudy Gobert officially defeated Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis in 2018, and he was also the actual best defender despite playing only 56 games. Embiid offered elite post defense, rebounding, and physical rim protection, while Davis led the league in blocks and possessed greater mobility away from the basket. However, Utah's defensive identity was completely built around Gobert's ability to defend two players during a pick and roll, remain close enough to the rolling center, and still discourage the ball handler from attacking. His greatest impact was not simply blocking shots, but convincing opponents to abandon valuable shots before they happened. Utah also improved dramatically once Rudy returned from injury, showing how much of the team's defensive structure depended on his presence alone. His missed games make this another race that could go either way, especially when comparing him with Davis, but no candidate changed the geometry of every possession as dramatically as Gobert did for Utah. Rudy Gobert, 2019. Gobert repeated in 2019, but the actual best defender was Giannis Antetokounmpo. Rudy remained the league's most dependable drop coverage center and the better pure rim protector, but Giannis could defend more positions and erase a wider variety of problems. Milwaukee finished first in defensive rating at 104.9 and held opponents to a league-low 43.3% shooting, while players shot around 40.1% when Giannis was recorded as their closest defender. Brook Lopez handled much of Milwaukee's stationary rim protection, allowing Giannis to roam from the weak side, recover toward shooters, switch onto guards, and cover distances that almost no defender could reach. Giannis also finished possessions with elite rebounding and could turn defensive stops into transition attacks within seconds. This could absolutely go either way, because Gobert carried more direct rim protection responsibility, but Giannis' versatility and range made him the more complete defensive weapon and my actual 2019 winner. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2020. Giannis officially won the 2020 award over Anthony Davis, and the voters correctly recognized the league's most impactful regular season defender. Davis may have been the more polished switch defender, and his ability to guard centers, wings, and ball handlers became extremely valuable during the Lakers' championship run. But Defensive Player of the Year only measures the regular season. Milwaukee led the NBA in defensive rating and opponent field goal percentage, while Giannis combined weak side rim protection, defensive rebounding, transition recovery, and extraordinary defensive range. He could begin a possession near the perimeter, rotate toward the basket, and still recover far enough to challenge a shooter before the ball arrived. His length also allowed Milwaukee's perimeter defenders to play more aggressively, because one late rotation from Giannis could erase the entire advantage. Davis offered greater matchup flexibility in certain situations, but Giannis affected more possessions throughout the regular season and clearly deserved the trophy. Rudy Gobert, 2021. The 2021 race created a perfect comparison between Ben Simmons' perimeter versatility and Rudy Gobert's overall defensive influence. Simmons could pressure the opponent's best scorer, switch across almost every position, and defend far away from the basket without immediately requiring help. Gobert's responsibility, however, extended toward every drive, cut, lob, and pick and roll that reached Utah's backline. Rudy led the league in defensive rebounds per game, total defensive rebounds, and total block shots, while opponents converted only 50.1% of the 549 attempts he defended at the rim. He also allowed Utah's guards to chase over screens and pressure ball handlers without constantly worrying about what happened behind them. Simmons could neutralize one dangerous matchup, but Gobert made all four teammates more aggressive because they knew he could repair mistakes behind them. Perimeter defense may be more visually impressive, but Gobert influenced a greater number of possessions and deserved his third award. Marcus Smart, 2022. Marcus Smart officially became the first guard since Gary Payton to win DPOY, but the actual best defender was Rudy Gobert. Smart had an excellent season, averaging 1.68 steals while leading Boston's communication and helping the Celtics finish first in defensive rating, opponent field goal percentage, and opponent three-point percentage. However, Boston also surrounded him with Robert Williams, Al Horford, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, giving Smart several elite defenders capable of covering mistakes. Gobert averaged 2.1 blocks, held opponents to only 49.3% at the rim, and remained responsible for repairing weaknesses throughout Utah's perimeter defense. When Gobert left the floor, Utah's defensive structure became much easier to attack because there was no longer an elite last line protecting the basket. Smart was the emotional and tactical leader of the league's best defensive lineup, so his victory was not unreasonable. But Gobert carried the greater individual burden. This could go either way, although Rudy remains my actual 2022 DPOY. Jaren Jackson Jr., 2023. Jaren Jackson Jr. officially won in 2023 after leading the NBA with 3 blocks per game and holding opponents to only 46.9% shooting at the rim. But my actual choice is Evan Mobley. Jackson produced the more destructive peak and transformed Memphis after returning from injury, although he missed the opening 15 games and finished with fewer appearances than Mobley. Evan played 79 games, ranked first in defensive win shares, contested 11.4 shots per game, and helped Cleveland finish first in both defensive rating and points allowed. He could protect the rim, switch on guards, and defend forwards away from the basket without constantly committing fouls. Mobley's ability to cover several roles also allowed Cleveland to pair him with another center without sacrificing defensive mobility. Jackson's shot blocking makes his victory completely defensible, so this could easily go either way, but Mobley provided greater availability, positional versatility, and season-long defensive value. Rudy Gobert, 2024. Gobert officially won his 4th DPOY in 2024 after anchoring the league's best defense, but the actual best individual defender was rookie Victor Wembanyama. Rudy produced better team results, played within a serious contender, and gave Minnesota a stable defensive structure throughout the season, so his victory was completely understandable. Wembanyama, however, averaged 3.6 blocks and 1.2 steals in fewer than 30 minutes per game, while affecting possessions in ways no other player could reproduce. His length allowed him to recover after being beaten, challenge jumpers from several feet away, and discourage opponents from attacking areas that normally would have been open. Players often drove into the paint, noticed Victor nearby, and immediately passed the ball back outside without even attempting a shot. If the award is based on season-long team value, Gobert is the correct choice. If it asks who is individually the most capable defender, Wembanyama gets the edge. This is probably the closest call in the video. Evan Mobley, 2025. Evan Mobley officially defeated Dyson Daniels and Draymond Green in 2025, and he was also the actual best defender across the entire season. Daniels produced a historic campaign as a perimeter disruptor, destroying passing lanes and creating turnovers at an extraordinary rate, while Draymond continued directing Golden State's defense with unmatched intelligence. Mobley offered the strongest combination of their defensive strengths because he could switch onto guards, contain wings, protect the rim, and recover from the weak side without forcing Cleveland to change personnel. Opponents shot 44.5% when he was their closest defender, 3.2 percentage points below expectation, while Cleveland allowed only 108.6 points per 100 possessions with him playing. His ability to defend both the screener and the ball handler also made Cleveland far harder to exploit through pick and rolls. Daniels created more chaos and Draymond communicated better, but Mobley solved the widest variety of defensive problems, making him the correct winner. Victor Wembanyama, 2026. Victor Wembanyama officially won the 2026 award, and there was no realistic argument for giving it to anyone else. He became the first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in NBA history and the youngest player ever to win the award while leading the league with 3.08 blocks per game for the third consecutive season. San Antonio finished third in defensive rating and allowed an astonishing 10.1 fewer points per 100 possessions with Wembanyama on the court than with him sitting. Chet Holmgren provided elite rim protection for Oklahoma City, and Ozar Thompson created chaos across the perimeter. But neither player matched Victor's combination of length, mobility, recovery speed, and shot deterrence. He could switch on his smaller players, recover after losing position, and still block attempts that appeared completely open only a second earlier. By 2026, Wembanyama was no longer merely basketball's most exciting defensive prospect. He was officially and unquestionably its best defender.